So thank you everybody here. So my name is Danilo. I'm technical evangelist in Amazon Web Services. And the idea today is to show you a live application using our mobile services and our mobile SDK. So for the demo, I'm using Android, but as we will see, anything will work also on iOS, on Unity, on Kindle devices, and also some functionality can work on Xamarin, that is a cross-development platform that we have that is helpful for developers using C# to develop also on Windows mobile phone, and also with JavaScript. So let's move forward. This is a list of things that mobile developers need to do, and often they do these features and they implement these features again and again in their application. So you need probably to authenticate your users, you need to authorize access to your users to only the resources that they need to use. You may want to synchronize data because currently users, they don't use a single device. They probably use more devices, maybe an iPhone in the morning during commuting, in the evening on their sofa they use an Android tablet, and you want to synchronize the status and the user experience of your application among different platforms. You want to analyze user behavior because when you give your mobile app to an app store, you lose direct connection with your users. You may know how many downloads the users have done, but you don't know which features they are using. So the risk is that you work hard to deliver a new feature and nobody's using, and maybe the issue is just that they don't know that the feature because it's a little bit hidden behind the menus, so you have to understand the user behavior, what they do, what they don't do with your application. You may want to run business logic. So we have a way to really bind function from the front end, from the mobile front end, or a JavaScript front end if you want, with your backend. And we are using AWS Lambda, so maybe you already saw the Lambda demo today, so we will relate to that. And you may want to store and share media, so do big uploads, big downloads from a mobile, because you want to upload maybe a picture or a video, and the network is not very reliable. You may want to send or receive a mobile push notification, share data with a database, and maybe you want to stream real-time data from your mobile application. So we have different aspects of the mobile services and of the mobile SDK that can help you with that. So I will ask you to memorize a few keywords that I will use during the demo to tell you how these services are used in the mobile application. So Amazon Cognito, it's our service that is managing user identity and data synchronization. And it's, let's say, the most important, because it's the one that the other services are using for what they want to do. Then we have Amazon Mobile Analytics for the analysis of the user behavior with your application. We have Lambda to run business logic on your backend. And we have S3 and services like DynamoDB that are traditional services. But in the mobile SDK, there are libraries that allows you to use these services in a very easy way directly from the mobile. So you can directly from your mobile application use S3 as an object storage to upload or download media content, for example, or directly use DynamoDB, the NoSQL database, the same that Oliver just used in his Elastic Beanstalk application, without having an EC2 instance in the middle. And this, of course, is an advantage on the cost, because sometimes the server that you use are only passed through from a mobile application to a repository in the backend. And also you don't have to manage the scalability of this part because it's on our side. It's S3, it's DynamoDB, so we manage the scalability and the high availability for you. It's important, everything I will say, it's available for iOS, Android. Most of the features run also via JavaScript, so if you want to map that to a web application, you can do almost the same. We also have now the Unity, the CD development environment SDK available, and it's completely generally available. And we have a developer preview for Xamarin, the C# cross-platform development framework. This gives you a logical idea of how this works. So your mobile application will use the mobile SDK, and the mobile SDK will expose different things. So let's start from Lambda. I think you already saw, or I hope someone told you how Lambda works. So you can put your own function in the cloud, and we will execute them for you. It can be written now in JavaScript or in Java, and we manage scalability and availability. What you can do now, you can run this Lambda function from your mobile application, and you can run them asynchronously or synchronously. So you run a function and get a result from the Lambda function running on AWS. And this is very easy to use, because, for example, in Android, you can really annotate a function and say, this local function in my Android code is actually just a wrapper. And when I call this function, you have to call a Lambda function executed on AWS, on AWS Lambda, and get the result to me. And that's as easy as that. Then you can use Lambda as your API backend, so that you can really use a flexible mobile backend. As we will see, Lambda also provides a generous free tier, so it's really an opportunity, especially for startups. Then the SDK will expose access to Cognito, mobile analytics, SNS mobile push to send a notification, and has some connectors that makes the use of all these services, in particular we will see S3, DynamoDB, and Kinesis, much easier from the mobile. So now I will stop with talking and I will switch to the demo. So this is the application, and I started to demo, so they fit in the screen. Let's start. So let's imagine that these are two devices of the same person. Maybe the left one can be an Android phone. On the right, it could be, I don't know, an iOS tablet. So maybe the same user is using the first phone in the morning and the second device in the evening. So the first time that the user is launching the application, Cognito will recognize this as a new user, non-authenticated, so we'll go into a non-authenticated mode. So this is a non-authenticated user, and he has access to a role. You remember, you saw in all the demo, I think, IAM roles, to a role that is for non-authenticated users. In this case, he will not be able to upload content on S3 because this non-authenticated role is restricted. But he can use all the features of Cognito, and Cognito can store data locally and synchronize that across devices. So the first thing that I can do is store some data. This is a sample application that allows you to write geographically localized nodes. So let's say that I'm a tourist, and it's almost true in Tel Aviv. I work here, and I click and I say, wow, this is a very nice place. So this is beautiful, and I want to come back here. And then I click OK. So now I just wrote into the local data set that Cognito provides me. It's a key value store. And it's local to this device because this is non-authenticated. So Cognito doesn't know that this user has other devices. What I can do is the same user, maybe because it's in the evening on the tablet, is starting the same application and can say, when he's working here, nice here. Don't blame for the lack of fantasy in my demo, please. So nice here. Let's come here tomorrow. And I click. So this is written in the local data set. This is another non-authenticated user for Cognito, and it cannot do nothing more because he doesn't know that these two devices are related. What happens now is that on the first device, the user, maybe because in your application you can put some incentive if you want, does some sort of login. And we support a lot of different kinds of login. We can support login natively with a Cognito login via Facebook, via Google, via Amazon, via Twitter, or we can support OpenID Connect or your own authentication. That's a line of code to integrate any authentication service with Cognito. In this case, the user is doing the login via Facebook. So in this moment, Cognito understands that this user is actually Danilo, and we'll refresh the dataset, and we'll merge the dataset with all the other data that Danilo has in Cognito, all the other identities that I already have there. Usually you have one or two identities. If you saw 7 identities, it's because I often destroy virtual devices and create new ones, so I have more than the normal user. So in this moment, on that device, on your left, I am authenticated. And if I click on this node, I can see that now I can also add an image, because now I'm authenticated, so Cognito upgraded me to a different role that allows me to do more things, in this case, like uploading to S3. But for now, we will not do that. What I want to show is, in the evening, I can also log in on this other device. And when this other device will log in, it will understand that it's Danilo again, and it will merge the two data sets. And what happens is, when it merges, it can also send an SNS mobile push notification to all the other devices that are using the same user. But that one, okay. Here you see both. On the other one, I didn't receive probably some network issue. If I force a sync, I will probably see the other one. Now, if I, for example, move here this point, because I was not precise enough, actually I meant this place here, the two devices will synchronize, and the data on the other device will synchronize. The mobile push is not flowing through the network now, it was flowing half an hour ago, so I'm just forcing the synchronization, but it's almost the same. Let's say that now this user, he wants to upload a picture. He can click here, he's authenticated, so he has the add image. And now I'm using the S3 data transfer to upload an image from the device directly to S3 without any EC2 instance. So I'm using the role to directly access S3, and the transfer manager will automatically manage the disconnection of the network. So if something fails during the upload, it will stop and then continue again as soon as there is network. Imagine the user is uploading a large video, he enters in an elevator, there is no connection, and the connection is back. So let's upload it. Oh, I think I have the image here. Oops. I have to come back. So let's upload the picture here, because it's saved in this device. Yes. So now the picture is uploaded, and when the upload will finish, you see it was triggered in the other one. So now here, there is the problem that the device is a little bit bigger than the screen, so I don't see the bottom escape. Good? Good, perfect. So let's cancel this one. Oops. Let's synchronize. And if I open now here, it was too big. No, it was the other one that I uploaded the picture. Okay, you see I see remove image, and now it's downloading the picture using the download feature of the transfer manager. So if something fails, it will stop and then gracefully start again. So now let's say that I think this note, this is a private note, is really useful, not only for me, but for everybody. I can make this note public. And what happens here is that I remove the note from my private data set managed by Cognito, and I insert the note on DynamoDB, where all the users have read access. So every user will be able to read this note. So I click the flag here, make public. And the application now is changing so you see, so it's disappeared from Cognito, and as soon as there is a map movement, this will be refreshed, and here we are testing the 3G connection of the device, and this is, I changed color, this is the node. So if you see here, I have the same node as before, and since the node changed, the picture is downloaded again. Here, if I synchronize, of course I will see exactly the same behavior. So this is now a public node. But DynamoDB has a way of managing the credentials that is very fine-grained. So I can tell to DynamoDB that an authenticated user can, in this case, can read any records, because these are public nodes. But he can write only the records where the Cognito user ID is in the hash key. So the first hash key, the first field of the first of the DynamoDB item. That means that this user is capable of writing here. So if I click here, for example, I can, for example, remove the image here. I click remove image, and the image has been removed. Now I can synchronize here, and it will be removed also on the other side. But what happens now if I log out? If I log out from here, the private data will disappear. So now I can click here on the account, and I log out and return a non-authenticated user. Of course, I have a warning that all my private data will be deleted. And now I can only see the public data, and the private data that's still here on this other device is not available anymore. And if now I click here, you remember I was still able to edit it because I was the same user. Now I don't see any option because the credentials are from a different user. So at database level there is no access, and the application will recognize that. So we saw a lot of things here on the mobile app. Let's see also how that works on the configuration side on the console. So the mobile SDK, you just have to download it and include it into your application depending on the kind of application you're using. On Cognito, you can create very easily a new identity pool. Let's, for example, create an identity pool. The identity pool is how we group the identity and then the data set with the data. So we call it, I think Tel Aviv demo is the trending word here. I can enable or not enable non-authenticated access. So if I don't enable here, I have only the authenticated role, and I don't trace non-authenticated user. I think that underscore is better. Then I can link authentication providers. So depending on the provider, they give you some sort of ID to link the identity of the provider. So for Amazon, it's the app ID, Facebook is the app ID, Google+, Twitter, OpenID. Or any custom using some small backend integration authentication service. For now, I don't use this kind of integration. Now that the pool is being created, I get the sample code. Okay, I have to create the two roles. So this is the maybe you already saw something similar in other demo. This is the YAM console, Identity and Access Management console, that will create two new roles. The role on the top is the authenticated role. The role in the bottom, since I flagged non-authenticated, is the non-authenticated role. At the beginning, these two roles will have a trust policy that allows Cognito to use them, but the role policy will be completely empty. You have to fill it with the policy, like in my example, giving S3 access in read mode to this bucket. And you have policy variables like the identity ID, so you can tell these users can write on an S3 bucket only under this path, where the final part is his own Cognito identity ID, so the unique ID that Cognito gives to him. In this way, you can create private folders on S3 for users with a single bucket. So I create the two role, and I get the starting code. This is, for example, for Android, so how to get the credential, how to store data. This is the sample code that I use to store those nodes. It's actually a key value store, so you have put with the key and the value, and a get with the key, and you get the value. Everything is a string, but of course you can use JSON to stringify whatever object you want inside this repository. The datasets are not huge. They are 20 megabytes tops, so you should not put a lot of data, only metadata, and use S3, for example, for images or media content. And of course, there's the same code for iOS, so how to initialize and store the data. There's the same code for JavaScript. In case of JavaScript, the local dataset is using local storage from JavaScript. Or you can use Unity, that is the 3D development framework. And as I told you also, you can use .NET via Xamarin. Another part that we didn't see because it was completely hidden from the demo is mobile analytics. So mobile analytics will help you trace the behavior of the users. Per default, you just need to integrate a few lines of code that I can show you, but they are very similar to Cognito. They use Cognito for recognizing the same user using different devices. And this mobile analytics will generate a lot of metrics that are useful, like the daily active user, so the users that are unique users that are using your application in a day, also cross-device, the monthly active users, the new users every day, the sticky factor, that is the fraction of the daily active users that are on the monthly active users, so you understand if users are using your application occasionally during the month or often. There is a lot of retention metrics, and there is actually, as you can see, more tabs with specific information on active users, the sessions that the user creates with your application. You can link this with revenues, so it supports the Google and Apple Store, so you can link this with the store revenue. There is a specific pane on retention, so that you can see the retention of a new user, the daily, the weekly retention, and this is very important information because all the statistics on mobile application tell us that people are stopping very quickly to use the new application. So you can then use, for example, SNS mobile push to engage your users again. All the data that you see here aggregated, you can also export it on S3 or directly on Redshift. So if you export the data on S3, you have the text files with all the raw data from the user. If you export it on Redshift, you have a database that you can query online with SQL or with any business intelligence tool to really drill down and see which platform are using, who is stopping using your application. The last thing that I want to show you is the custom events. So all this, the data that we saw in this first panels, it's just out of the box if you insert the integration with mobile analytics. There is a few lines of code. Then you can also create custom events that link the behavior of your application with mobile analytics. For example, what I did, I tried to link every user interaction with my application with a custom event. In this way, I will know if the user is creating notice, uploading pictures, because maybe I spent 3 weeks to develop, and it's almost the time that it took, the upload picture phase, and then nobody's uploading pictures. You must know that. So, with custom events, let's go. So here you can, this is the name in this case are what I put into my code. As you can see, you have all the user interaction. For example, you have the insert note. If I select here insert note, I know into this period, that it's from November to up to now, but if you want, you can select the period of time, like only yesterday, the last week, the last month. You can see all the people that used my very successful application. You can see the period that I was developing, it was more peaks and then random access. But you can also associate to an event attributes and metrics. So a metric is a numeric value, because maybe there is a numeric value, like a score for a game, or an attribute that is a string. In this case, maybe you didn't notice when I did my very quick demo, but you can insert a note. Long clicking on the map, so with your finger you long click on the map for 2 seconds, or using the insert note button. And a useful information for people doing UI is to know which of the two ways to create a new note the users are actually using. So I created an attribute matrix for the insert note, and I call it using, and if I enable this metric, I have the different values that are button, so they created the note using the button, or using the long click event on the map. And now I see all the events, and then I can select only the button, or I can select only the long click and see the difference. So in this way, if you introduce something new in your UI, you know if they are using the same feature through the new channel or not. I didn't show that at the beginning, but here you can also filter everything by platform. So you may understand that on iOS, people is using the button, and on Android, they are not doing that, so maybe there's something strange in the UI that I have to investigate. So it's really a lot of information that you can get from mobile analytics. And with this, I hope I give you an idea of what you can do with the mobile services. And the good news for everybody is that you can really start for free, because Lambda, if you use it for your backend, you have 400,000 seconds per month of execution time for free if you use 1 gigabyte of memory. If you use less memory, you have more time. So if you use half gigabyte, you have double the time. So it's a lot. Cognito, you have 1 million synchronization plus 10 gigabyte of space that you can use for the first 12 months. Mobile analytics, the first 100 million of events every month is for free. SNS mobile push, the first million of mobile push message that you deliver every month is for free. So everything is always on. Only the Cognito free tier is valid for the first 12 years that you use the service. So I hope it was interesting, and I'm available for any question. Thanks.